Cliff Delman.
Is this on? Thank you very much. Welcome once again to the Kiwi Fruit Lounge here at the Prince Albert Hotel. The world's slowest revolving restaurant and cocktail lounge. At our present rate of revolution, we estimate that we will have made one complete turn by the year 2017. Hold on to your drinks if you get dizzy. I'm going to be brief tonight because I have a story to tell you, and it's a kind of a shocking story, and I'm going to get right into it. You see, last night, I had a dream. And in my dream, I dreamed that I had died. And at the moment of my death, there came and there stood before me a spirit, a hooded figure. And this hooded figure, he kind of loomed. You know how hooded figures, they tend to loom. And he loomed over me. And suddenly I heard this voice emanating from the very ground. I live in the basement. So most sounds tend to emanate from the ground. But I heard this voice come out of the ground, and it seemed to come right from the spirit, and he said, "Oh, puny mortal." And I said, "Are you addressing me, sir?" I said, "What would you have of me, old spirit?" I somehow just intuitively knew that this was how you should address a spirit. And he said to me, "Oh, puny mortal, for all of your past transgressions, not to mention the ones you would have done if you hadn't been so chicken shit, you have been sentenced to spend an eternity in hell." I said, "Whoa." I said, now wait a minute. This wouldn't have anything to do with that like that Scrooge thing, because usually I'm really good at Christmas, but this past year I had to get my generator, and he just said, "Stop. This has nothing to do with any fictional characters or any major holidays, either secular or religious in nature. This is between you and me." So I said to him, "Well, Mr. Spirit, it just so happens that I'm an educated man, and I don't believe in hell." The spirit kind of shrugged. I could tell he was shrugging inside his shroud. And he pointed his bony finger at me and he said, "You right. There is no such place as hell. Except in your dreams." This remark reduced me to a monosyllabic vocabulary like you wouldn't believe. I said, "Whoa." I said, "Okay, I'll go with it, Mr. Spirit. You seem to have the upper hand. But tell me one thing. Let's say I'm going to hell. I don't know the first thing about how to get there." And if this seemed to enrage the spirit, and he drew himself up to his full height, which I already thought he was standing at his full height, but I was wrong. And he pulled himself up to his full height. And he cast back his cloak, and I looked into his face, and I could see nothing but these two red eyes glowing out at me like two burning coals of old Diz charcoal briquettes. And the spirit says, "You don't know how to get to hell." And I said, "No." And he said, "Well, most people take the bus." I said, "Thank you for that piece of information." And the next thing I knew, this wind blew through my room, and all went dark. And I awoke somewhere standing in this desolate wilderness like nothing I had ever seen. And this black smoke was blowing, and there was this horrible stench in the air, like it was an awful stench. And the wind blew and the black smoke cleared, and I looked around and suddenly I knew where I was. I was standing in the parking lot of the Vince Lombardi Memorial Rest Stop on the New Jersey Turnpike. I said, well, that explains a lot. And just as an aside between you and me, frankly, I would not choose to be a resident of any state which chooses to commemorate its most outstanding citizens by naming a place to pee on the interstate after them. That's just me, though. But to make a long story short, I'm looking around, I seem to be all alone in this desolate wilderness. And suddenly I heard this sound, this awful sound emanating from the ground, and it was coming at me. And I looked up and I saw through the dark, I saw this huge bus, and it was all made of iron. The wheels was iron. The sides was iron. The windows was made of iron. I thought, how the heck can they drive that thing with them iron? And it pulled up to me with this horrible screeching sound. I said, they need a brake job. And the door flew open. And I looked up, and it towered over me. This bus was 80 feet high if it was 10 feet high. And I looked up, and across the front of the bus there said in huge red letters, "Straight to hell." Well, I stood there, and suddenly this little bony hand stuck out the door and it said, "This way, please." And I got on the bus and I looked at the bus driver, and suddenly I was filled with horror because his face had no eyes. And I thought, how does he drive this thing with no eyes? And I remembered he couldn't see out the windows anyway. So he said, "Take your seat." And I did. And I sat down, and the driver turned back to look at the passengers. The bus was full. Apparently I was the last stop. And he said, "Now, it's a long way to hell. So I want you to make yourselves comfortable and feel at home." And suddenly this kind of vibration went through the crowd in the bus. And I knew it was about to happen, but I couldn't stop it. I tried to stand up, but my voice just wouldn't speak. And I raised my hand and I tried to scream, but nothing came out. And I knew. The bus driver pointed and he said, "Now let's begin." And the bus started up and the people started to sing. And I said, "No, no, no, please." And this is the song they sang on the bus ride to hell. 1 billion bottles of beer. 1 billion bottles of beer. I took one down. I kind of passed it around. Now there's 999,999,999 bottles of beer. 999,999,999 bottles of beer. I'm not done yet. We took one down. Sing it with me. Now there's 999,999,998 It's a disco version. 999,999,998 bottles of beer on the wall. 999 million. You're getting scared, aren't you? 999,990 bottles of beer. We took one down and we kind of passed it around real slow.